Chapter 839. Su Yiyan was really shocked this time. Solve? How to solve it? The first two were easy to deal with. What should be rectified? What should be frozen? But what about Wen Jingping? New male lead, wake up. That's the female lead. Even if you don't completely like her, you shouldn't use her as a condition to make a deal with the boss of a rival company. Or was it that the original work's forceful plot, and because of her rebirth as a little butterfly, now had some more heart-wrenching drama to drag her? A passerby who originally wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight into the water? Su Yiyan's mind was in a mess. For a moment, she didn't know how to respond to the person opposite her. Dou Tianyi saw the change in Su Yiyan's expression and continued to smile. Miss Su, what do you think of this sincerity? Su Yiyan stared at him for a while and asked directly. I thought that you wanted Wen Jingping to be the female lead of your company's annual drama, because you wanted to promote her. You should have a good relationship with her. It's just a relationship of interest. Relationship of interest? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and became interested. Then you came to me now and offered to sacrifice her. Do you think I'm more valuable than her? Dou Tianyi's smile on his face was slightly restrained, but with some hesitation. You're not the same as her. We're all the same. Su Yiyan interrupted him. She had calmed down a long time ago, and her gaze towards Dou Tianyi was filled with indifference and mockery. This is what I meant when I said that we have different ideologies. I admit that I do have some grudges with her, but since she has sided with you and you have accepted her, you shouldn't be using her to negotiate with me now. Dou Tianyi furrowed his brows. I accepted her because of some special reasons, but after interacting with her for a long time, I realized that everything she showed was fake. Her purpose for getting close to me wasn't that simple. Since we're using each other, why can't I use her if she can use me? Then, if one day you find out that Dongqing and I are not as valuable as you think and can't bring you what you want, will you sell me out without any psychological burden? Just like how you treated her. Dou Tianyi was stunned. Li Yu, who accompanied Dou Tianyi, couldn't help but widen her eyes. It was hard to believe that someone could be so ruthless to their boss. Most importantly, their boss seemed to be more surprised than angry. This woman was really not a simple character. Dou Tianyi was only stunned for a moment, and he soon heard the logical loophole in Su Yiyan's words. I told you that you're different. She approached me with ulterior motives from the beginning. I'm not in a cooperative relationship with her. At most, I'm relying on her and using her. As for you, I'm truly sincere. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted. In my opinion, you're all the same. It's not that I'm the same as Wen Jingping, but you're the same as her. I don't know why you're suddenly interested in me and Dongqing, and why you're trying so hard to reach this cooperation with us. But whether it's because of past grievances or the future development of the company, I don't think this cooperation will work. Su Yiyan stared at Dou Tianyi as she said this. She was just short of directly saying that Wen Jingping's purpose of getting close to you was not pure. Now that you're getting close to me, is your purpose of getting close to me pure? It's not hard to guess what you're thinking. Don't be the pot calling the kettle black. Chapter 840. After Su Yiyan finished speaking, the room fell silent again. Li Yu's forehead was already covered in a layer of cold sweat. He was afraid that the audacious Miss Su would be sacrificed to the heavens by his furious boss in the next second. However, to his disappointment, none of the unforeseen events that he had anticipated happened. Dou Tianyi looked calmly at Su Yiyan and chuckled. You're very smart. Just this point alone makes you completely different from Wen Jingping. Su Yiyan was speechless. I can take it as you. Are you indirectly mocking someone for being stupid? Since you're so smart, you should have already guessed the real reason why I went through so much trouble to look for you. No, I don't know anything. There was a saying that went, the more you know, the faster you die. She wasn't going to jump into this trap. Unfortunately, even though Su Yiyan wanted to avoid this trap, Dou Tianyi couldn't let her do as she wished and insisted on dragging her into this trap. Miss Su, or should I call you Store Manager Su or Live Broadcaster Su? I don't know what you're talking about. Su Yiyan was already prepared and wasn't flustered by his sudden revelation. I was wondering why Mr. Dou would suddenly be interested in me. a stranger whom you've only met once. It turns out that you've mistaken me for someone else. Do Tianyi seemed to have already expected that Su Yiyan wouldn't admit it. The smile on his face didn't change as he whispered, "Whether or not I've mistaken you for someone else, we both know in our hearts. Since I'm talking about this in front of Miss Su today, naturally, I already have concrete evidence to prove Miss Su's identity." Su Yiyan's face darkened slightly. Do Tianyi's constant little tricks showed that he was suspicious of her identity. Today he said this in front of her. Whether he really knew her identity or was lying to her, Su Yiyan knew that after today, she wouldn't be able to stay out of trouble like before. Su Yiyan sighed. "So, Mr. Do came to my territory in such an imposing manner today, and said these words to me. Do you think this matter can be used as a bargaining chip to threaten me?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but sneer. "If that's the case, I'm afraid Mr. Do will be disappointed. The reason why I hid my identity was because I felt that there was no need to publicize my little hobby. Now that I've been discovered, I can just make it public. It's not a shameful thing to begin with. After it's made public, it might even help me and my company gain more popularity. It's mutually beneficial and two-way development. Why not? Miss Su seems to be very hostile and prejudiced against me." Do Tianyi sat in his wheelchair, his expression unchanged. "The reason why I pointed out Miss Su's identity at this time is not to threaten Miss Su with this matter, but to ask Miss Su for help." "Ask me for help?" Su Yiyan's heart suddenly thumped, but she still maintained a guarded expression on her face. Mr. Do's attitude when asking for help is really strange. Do Tianyi didn't mind. Miss Su should be able to tell that my health isn't very good, and I've been suffering from illness for many years. I went to Miss Su's medicinal cuisine restaurant once by chance and ate some food. I found that the medicinal cuisine in Miss Su's restaurant has a very significant effect on my illness. As Do Tianyi spoke, he took a test report from Li Yu and handed it to Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan looked at the test report, and the corners of her mouth twitched. "Chance? You call this a chance? Do you take me for a fool?" Chapter 841. Su Yiyan didn't take it. Instead, she looked at Do Tianyi, raised her eyebrows and chuckled. "Mr. Do, you've done so much just to ask me to make a few meals of medicinal cuisine to improve your condition. It's not to improve my condition. It's not to improve my condition. It's to cure it." Su Yiyan's face sank, as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. "Mr. Do, you must be joking. Not to mention that I don't have much interaction with Mr. Do. And I haven't agreed to help you. Even if I really help you, I can't give you such an unrealistic guarantee. You must know that even the most respected doctor can't guarantee that he can cure any disease." Do Tianyi didn't argue with her about this, but talked about another matter. "I heard that Miss Su's husband was paralyzed for nearly 10 years because of an accident." The word paralyzed really poked Su Yiyan's reverse scale, and her face instantly turned black. Do Tianyi acted as if he didn't see anything and continued. "But about a year ago, he recovered, and he recovered very well, without any sequelae. My husband hasn't given up on treatment all these years, and he will recover very well." Su Yiyan wanted to push the credit of Hua Chenhuan's recovery to the doctors who had been treating Hua Chenhuan all these years. Do Tianyi couldn't let her have her way. Just like Miss Su said, some diseases can't be cured just because a doctor said so. The reason why the disease is not good is because the technology is not mature. Medical science is constantly improving, and what can't be cured in the past doesn't mean that it can't be cured in the future. According to Miss Su's words, my illness will be cured sooner or later, won't it? Su Yiyan gave him a perfunctory fake smile. "You also said that there will be a day sooner or later. Who can say whether it will be early or late? Anyway, I can't say for sure. In another few hundred years, perhaps a blood disease like Do Tianyi's could really be cured. Just like cancer, which was once thought to be incurable, wasn't there already a special medicine developed? It's just that other people have to research for a few hundred years. Can you live for a few hundred years? If you had that much time, you wouldn't even know how many lifetimes you'd have reincarnated. Why would you care if you could cure your illness in this lifetime?" When Do Tianyi heard her words, the light in his eyes dimmed a lot, but it quickly returned to normal. as if he was already used to such disappointment. I know it's a bit difficult, but I hope that Miss Su can help me, whether it's to alleviate my illness or to cure it one day in the future. Do Tianyi hated the feeling of putting his life in the hands of others. But sometimes fate loved to play tricks on people. The things that you were most afraid of and hated the most were often the things that you couldn't avoid. In the end, you could only helplessly compromise. In exchange, I'm willing to do my best and pay any price that you need or want. Su Yiyan wasn't tempted by the promise he gave. She frowned and said, I just said that the reason why Chen Huan could recover was because he had been receiving treatment all these years. The doctors around him. Before Su Yiyan could finish, Do Tianyi had already interrupted her. If what Miss Su said is true, after Miss Su's husband recovered, why are these people still unknown? A disability that was once determined to be impossible to recover was completely cured without any sequelae. Just this point alone is enough to make patients and their families, who have lower limbs paralyzed and thought that they had no hope for the rest of their lives, scramble like ducks. But in fact there isn't. Chapter 842. Su Yiyan's expression changed again. This person really came prepared today. Every word he said made her speechless. He told her that he knew everything about the two of them, and that all her lies and excuses were useless against him. No matter what you say today, the result will not change. Su Yiyan gritted her teeth in anger. She felt powerless when the right to speak was in the hands of the other party. Perhaps our first impression of each other is not very good. But now, and even in the future, I hope that we can become friends, not friends who use each other as tools or partners. I don't think we can be friends. Su Yiyan did not have many friends, but it was not like she did not have any. Someone like Do Tianyi, who seemed to be sincere in befriending her, was actually high and mighty from the beginning to the end. He talked about befriending her as if it was a transaction. Su Yiyan knew that she could not afford to be friends with him. Do Tianyi's expression did not change. He only looked at Su Yiyan with a smile. It's always better to have one more friend than one more enemy. Believe me, whether it's you or your husband, you don't want to have an enemy like me. Su Yiyan was stunned. Her eyes suddenly turned cold. Are you threatening me? A wolf will always be a wolf. It will never turn into a dog, let alone a cat. Even if it was wearing sheep's skin, it would sooner or later show its claws and mercilessly tear you to pieces. I'm just stating the facts. After all, there's nothing a person can't do when they're about to die. Compared to me, a lonely person with chronic illness, Miss Su should have more concerns in this world than I do. As the saying goes, a barefooted person is not afraid of wearing shoes. If it really came to this point, who knew what he would do? This was also one of the main reasons why some people who were diagnosed with terminal illnesses and had a twisted mentality suddenly came to the newspaper. I'm about to die, so why are you still living so well? Since that's the case, let's all die together. If I can drag a few people down with me, it's my gain. It was because of this extremely twisted mentality that so many tragedies were caused. It made people realize how terrible this kind of person was. At that moment, Su Yiyan's anger finally reached its peak. This man, how dare he? How dare he use her family as a threat? How dare he? Do Tianyi saw the anger in Su Yiyan's eyes. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, but he did not continue to be aggressive. I hope that Miss Su will consider what I just said. It's getting late, so I won't continue to disturb Miss Su's work. Do Tianyi said as he gave Li Yu a look. Li Yu immediately understood and stepped forward to hand over a business card. This is my business card. If Miss Su changes her mind, you can contact me at any time. Of course, if time passes, I will come back to look for Miss Su again. There will be plenty of time in the future. Su Yiyan's face darkened again. He could not wait to throw the name card at Do Tianyi's face. Do Tianyi saw Su Yiyan's anger, but the corners of his lips curled up slightly. It was as if he was certain that Su Yiyan would give in one day and contact him on her own accord. When Li Yu pushed Do Tianyi out of Su Yiyan's office, he suddenly stopped. Immediately, Su Yiyan heard someone's calm and sorrowful whisper. I just want to live. Su Yiyan's hands subconsciously clenched. Yes, who would want to die if they could live? But what if the person who wanted to live was implicated in the life and death of the people around him? Would he be indifferent to the matter? Or would he be a saint who would risk the danger of a backlash in the future to save the person first? Chapter 843. Live. Su Yiyan sneered and mocked himself. Who doesn't want to live? But no matter how much you want to live, you shouldn't trample on others. In his previous life when Jingping was like that, and now, Dou Tianyi was like that too. Thinking of this, Su Yiyan's gaze turned cold and gloomy, and his heart hardened. Boss, why do you have to do this? Li Yu pushed Dou Tianyi out of Dongcheng. As soon as he got into the car, he couldn't help but complain. Miss Su didn't have a good impression of you to begin with. After today's incident, I'm afraid she wants to kill you. Dou Tianyi was sitting in the back seat with his eyes closed. When he heard this, he opened his eyes and smiled. If I didn't cause trouble today, would she have a good impression of me? Li Yu choked. In his opinion, his boss's attitude toward Su Yiyan was already very good. Unfortunately, first impressions were not something that could be easily changed. Dou Tianyi couldn't be gentle, so he decided to use force. Li Yu wiped the cold sweat off his head and tried to persuade him. Even if Miss Su doesn't listen to force or persuasion, you're still asking for help. Wouldn't this be too? You still want to rely on her to treat your illness. What if she's upset and does something to you during your treatment? If that's the case, I'll have to ask you to help me take revenge. Dou Tianyi didn't care. It's already not easy for my rotten life to last until now. When I die, I'll drag a few more people down with me. That way, I won't be too lonely. Li Yu didn't know why, but he suddenly felt goosebumps all over his body. His intuition told him that Dou Tianyi wasn't joking. Ahahaha, boss, you really know how to joke. Dou Tianyi didn't expose him. He closed his eyes again and said faintly, It's not my style to speak nicely and beg humbly. As the saying goes, try peaceful means before resorting to force. He had already given Su Yiyan a gift. If Su Yiyan did not accept it, then he had a reason to use force. Compared to compromising, he preferred to hide a dagger behind a smile and seize by force. As soon as Dou Tianyi stepped out of Su Yiyan's company, everything that happened in Su Yiyan's office reached Su Yuxuan and Hua Chenhuan's ears. At that time, there were only 4 people in the office. It went without saying who spread the news. Su Yuxuan's face darkened when he found out about this, but he didn't rush to find trouble with Dou Tianyi. Instead, he asked Xia Junxing to report this matter to Hua Chenhuan. In his own words, when Yan Yan was at home, he and his father were there to protect her. Now that she was married, her husband had to make the first move. Otherwise, wouldn't his sister's marriage be in vain? Xia Junxing listened to Su Yuxuan's sour complaints and had a hard time holding back his laughter. In the end, he still revealed this matter to Hua Chenhuan. However, he made some adjustments and only conveyed the words Dou Tianyi said to Su Yiyan. He didn't mention Dou Tianyi's meaningful and ambiguous tone when they spoke. Even so, Hua Chenhuan's face still darkened after hearing about this matter. Threatening Yan Yan with the safety of his family. How arrogant. Zui Yanbai stood on the side. He still had a smile on his face, but his eyes were terrifyingly cold. Maybe it's because Mr. Dou doesn't have any relatives at home. He has enough to eat and the whole family doesn't have to go hungry. That's why he's so fearless and eager to do whatever he wants. Hua Chenhuan sneered and said gloomily, You said that there are still people in the collateral branch of the Dou family alive. Chapter 844. Well, at that time, the Dou family fought for power and made a lot of noise. Most of the people involved are no longer alive. Only the 2 sons of Dou Tianyi's uncle were studying abroad at that time. They were not in the country and escaped the disaster. I remember that when the Dou family changed dynasties, the one who fought with Dou Tianyi the most was his uncle. Yes, Dou Tianyi's uncle and Dou Tianyi's father are from different branches. They are not close in terms of blood relationship. It is said that the only bloodline of the Dou family's old master died early due to illness. He had no choice but to choose an heir from the side branch. At that time, the most promising candidates were Dou Tianyi's father and his uncle. Hua Chenhuan raised her eyebrows. So Dou Tianyi is not considered the main branch's bloodline. The Dou family does not pay special attention to this aspect. Compared to bloodline, they prefer those who are capable. Those who are capable. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly. No wonder every time the power of the Dou family overlapped, there was bound to be a storm of blood. Was it those who were capable, or the method of raising poisonous insects to choose the sharpest knife? Dou Tiany's uncle is dead? Yes. How did he die? It is said that he was robbed and had a dispute with the robbers. He was stabbed several times. One of the stabs hit a vital point, and he died on the spot. Is it related to Dou Tiany? For the time being, there is no definite evidence to prove that this matter is related to him. But at that time, the Dou family had internal strife. Those who opposed Dou Tiany almost all died one after another. Except for one who became a vegetable, most of the others are almost dead. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly. What does it matter if there is evidence or not? What matters is what the two surviving young masters of the Dou family think. Some things, everyone's heart was like a mirror, so it did not matter whether there was evidence or not. How was the relationship between the two of them and the deceased Dou clan's uncle? The relationship between father and son is naturally not bad. If it was really bad, he wouldn't have spent so much effort to send him abroad first. He said that he was going to study abroad, but who knew if it was all part of his plan from the very beginning? It would be best if he succeeded in seizing power, but if he failed, he could at least leave a bloodline for himself and wait for a comeback in the future. How are their abilities? If they were just two idiots, then so be it. Even if they came back, they would only be serving Dou Tiany's head. They wouldn't be of much use. Between the two of them, the elder brother is somewhat intelligent, and the younger brother is not stupid. The two of them have always wanted to come back, but due to Dou Tiany's influence in the country, they did not dare to act rashly. In other words, they could be used. There's no need to really defeat him. It's enough to disgust him. Compared to getting someone else to do the dirty work, Hua Chenhuan would rather do it herself. Asking these two people to come out was just to give him an appetizer. Su Yiyan, who had no idea that she had replaced Wen Jingping's role in Dou Tiany, became the fuse that caused the tit-for-tat between her husband and the original villain. Now the new male lead was not in a good mood. Dou Tiany's sudden appearance caught her off guard, but the previous few encounters allowed Su Yiyan to be mentally prepared. She knew that she would meet him sooner or later. At first, she tried to shift the topic to Wen Jingping and attribute everything to the personal grudges between her and Wen Jingping. She just wanted to buy more time. However, Dou Tiany seemed to really not care about Wen Jingping at all. He was not interested in their grudges at all. As a result, before she could say anything, she died in her womb. Chapter 845. System. What's going on with Wen Jingping and Dou Tiany? Isn't he the new male lead that Wen Jingping carefully selected as a spare tire? Why isn't he licking Wen Jingping's boots, living and dying for her, smashing walls for her without any complaints? Why is he causing trouble for me all the time? He even said that he could help me deal with Wen Jingping. Is he trying to trick me or is he serious? Are you sure this Dou Tiany is really the new male lead? After the systems inspection, Dou Tiany is indeed the new male lead that the female lead in this world has chosen for the second time. Then what's going on with him and Wen Jingping? Isn't the male lead in this world unconsciously led by the female lead, and his EQ and IQ would drop for no reason? Just like the previous Hua Xiaofeng, he was obviously proud and arrogant. He didn't even like Su Yiyan, who grew up pampered and received a good education from a rich family, let alone an ugly duckling like Wen Jingping, who was inferior to Su Yiyan in every way. However, it was as if he was possessed and stubbornly treated her as a priceless treasure. No matter how many tricks Wen Jingping used and how much trouble she brought him, he still enjoyed it like a diligent bootlicker. If Wen Jingping hadn't seen that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of the Hua Corporation, and had no hope of becoming a cuckold, he might have been led by the nose for a long time. But I think Dou Tiany doesn't seem to be affected. Although he spent money on Wen Jingping to get the resources of a big IP female lead, he wasn't actually fascinated by Wen Jingping's female lead halo. He listened to her every word and seemed normal. No, from the fact that he could easily bring out Wen Jingping to negotiate with her, This person was very abnormal. The host's progress in stealing the female lead halo has reached 50%, causing the female lead halo's influence on the male lead to greatly decrease. Moreover, the host has various skills provided by the system, under certain conditions, overriding the original female lead's golden fingers. The familiar mechanical voice faintly carried a hint of pride at the end, as if to say, "Look, I've provided you with all these good things. Who knows how many times better than the original female lead's half-baked golden fingers? Isn't it normal for the new male lead to give up on the original female lead and look for you to treat his illness? Who would be willing to give up a 5-star luxurious meal and run to torture himself by eating leftovers?" After listening to the system's explanation, Su Yiyan felt that it made a bit of sense. However, her focus wasn't on this, but, "System, I've found that you've become more and more human." After that, the system on the system on it, on the system on the robot. The system. The system. The system. The system. The system. You. They. If you're talking about those hua aprons on the little robots, please forgive me for rejecting. Su Yiyan waited for a while, but the system didn't reply. She sighed in disappointment and stopped teasing it. Instead, she asked another question seriously. "System, if Chen Huan and I hadn't increased the progress of stealing the golden fingers, would Dou Tianyi's illness one day?" The system was silent for a while before giving a thoughtful answer. According to the setting of the original novel, the villain Dou Tianyi's blood disease can only be alleviated, but not cured. Hearing this, Su Yiyan's mind flashed. In the original novel, Dou Tianyi was the villain, so naturally, it was impossible for him to be cured of this disease. However, he was now the world's new male lead, with the male lead halo above his head. It was impossible for him to be mentioned in the same breath as the original novel. Chapter 846. Su Yiyan pondered for a moment, then continued to ask, "Can these things that I have on hand cure him?" "No." "Then how did he?" The system fell silent again. Su Yiyan waited for a while, but she did not get an answer. "System. Dou Tianyi is the world's male lead, so he has the same luck as the world's female lead. Moreover, because he hasn't had a large number of gold fingers snatched away like the world's female lead, his luck is slightly stronger." At this point, the system paused for a moment, as if it was thinking about how to explain the situation. Su Yiyan noticed this and her eyes narrowed. She could actually feel that the system could not explain everything to her. Most of the time, the system could only tell her certain things through hints, as if it was restricted by something. The host can snatch the gold fingers of the male and female lead, and use them to change your own fate, and vice versa. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed. After she understood the system's meaning, she could not help but swear on the spot. She knew that things were not that simple. So this was what the system was waiting for. Su Yiyan had previously discovered that a large part of the so-called snatching gold fingers was to save the supporting male and female leads who had been used as stepping stones by the male and female lead after their blood had been sucked dry, so as to reduce the public impact that the male and female lead had on this world. These supporting male and female leads could have had beautiful families and limitless futures, but because they had been targeted, not only had they become paper people to be used, but they had also been trampled under their feet, and their families had been ruined. Now that she heard the system say this, good heavens! What did it mean to have the world's luck? What did it mean to be different from ordinary people? They were clearly snatching the luck of others and superimposing it on themselves, bringing endless benefits to themselves. They didn't forget to get rid of the donkey after it had outlived its usefulness, and killed the person who had no value to them, so as to prevent these people from rising from the ashes and snatching the luck back from them. Su Yiyan took a deep breath, her expression extremely ugly. This should be considered a bug in the world. It's clearly a terminal illness, but just because he's the male lead, there's hope of recovery. This host, don't forget that the world you're in is originally a book. Some epics and dramas could not be guaranteed to be perfect, not to mention that the foundation of this world came from a cliched Mary Sue romance novel. It would be strange if there were no bugs. Moreover, the world will automatically fix the bugs. A large part of the male lead's recovery will be attributed to good luck, a successful operation with an extremely low success rate. Or someone suddenly had a flash of inspiration and developed a special medicine for this disease, but the raw materials for this type of medicine are rare, it can't be popularized, and so on. Su Yian's expression was subtle. The reason given by the system was really hard to refute. There was no lack of miracles in the history of medicine. There were many reports that people who were diagnosed with terminal illnesses and had a maximum lifespan of 1 or 2 years had lived for 5 or even 10 years because of their good attitude. Huo Chenhuan's legs were originally diagnosed as impossible to recover, but after he stood up again, how many people would think about the metaphysical factors involved? They would only sigh at his good luck, meeting a good doctor who created a miracle. Some people even suspected that his legs were not as serious as the rumors said, and that everything was just a smokescreen. People would always subconsciously believe what they saw, and find good reasons for it. The so-called bug was only a bug in the eyes of insiders like her. In the eyes of others, it was just a miracle that could not be explained with common sense. Chapter 847. Receiving Su Yian's praise, little Yuan blushed and said shyly, "Protecting the little master is what Yuan should do." Dun Dun on the side saw that Su Yian praised Yuan but not itself, and seemed to be a little dissatisfied. It ran to Su Yian's feet and circled around. Silly Boy followed behind the dog father, and also circled around Su Yian. The father and son circled around for a long time, and found that Su Yian did not respond at all. They couldn't help but go forward and rub Su Yian's calf. Only then did Su Yian notice Dun Dun, and mistakenly thought that it was concerned about Zai Zai. She quickly hugged the baby and leaned over to comfort it. "Dun Dun, do you want to see the baby? Don't worry, the baby is fine." Dun Dun barked twice and sat on Su Yian's right foot unhappily. Silly girl followed suit. She walked to Su Yian's left foot and sat down. Su Yian, who had 2 dogs on her feet. Ahem. Uncle Zhang saw this scene and coughed lightly. He smiled faintly and said, "They may have felt angry that they had helped just now, but young madam only praised Yuan and not them." Su Yian was surprised. They also helped. After Yuan chased after them, she snatched the young master back from this woman. These 2 followed behind Yuan, and when they saw this woman still wanted to come over to snatch the child, they bit her. Where did they bite? Ahem. Uncle Zhang's old face was slightly red and he did not answer. Instead, it was a young girl on the side who held back her laughter and interrupted. "The place with the most meat. These 2 little guys bit so fiercely that they almost pulled people's pants off." Su Yian. Huo Chenhuan. This trick was a little familiar. Woof. Dun Dun seemed to know that someone was mentioning its heroic appearance. It raised its head proudly and barked twice, its wet dog eyes full of praise. The corner of Su Yian's mouth twitched slightly. She thought to herself that she did not know what was wrong with this dog of hers. It especially liked to bite the place with the most meat. However, considering that the 2 dogs had indeed made a contribution this time, Su Yian was still generous with her praise. Dun Dun and Silly Boy also did a good job and protected the baby. Dun Dun stood up with a rustle and shook its tail like a propeller. Little Dun even patted Su Yian's calf and snorted, showing its mouth full of small steel teeth. It seemed to be saying, "Humph, don't you see who's protecting this little cub? How dare she steal their cub? It's good enough that she didn't bite her to death." Silly Boy did not think so much. She stuck out her tongue and stared at her dog father, nodding from time to time to show her agreement. Su Yian looked at the 2 silly boys and really could not bear to look at them, so she could only put her attention back on Yuan. How did Yuan know that this bad guy was going to steal her brother away? Because of the surveillance. Surveillance? Huo Chenhuan's eyes flickered slightly, and he explained to her. Yuan is a family protection robot. It can analyze whether the other party will hurt the owner from the surveillance images and the behavior of people, and then react accordingly. Su Yian was slightly stunned. Only then did she remember that ever since Yuan entered their house, every corner of the house had been installed with surveillance cameras. At that time, She thought that it was nothing, but now it seemed that it was because Yuan Yuan was only focused on the construction of the courtyard at that time, and there was no one in the house to cause trouble, so there was no place for her to use her talents. Now that there was a baby in the house, and there was such a scheming traitor, the role of these little things was immediately revealed. Chapter 848. Yan. Hua Chenhuan had also rushed back after receiving the call. As soon as she got out of the car, she ran into Su Yiyan, whose legs had turned to jelly. She rushed over to support Su Yiyan before she fell. Baby. Su Yiyan's face was as white as a sheet. She did not dare to think about what she would do if something really happened to the child. It's okay. The child is fine. Uncle Zhang and the others found out early. The child is not injured. Really? Su Yiyan's eyes widened. She grabbed Hua Chenhuan's hand, as if she was holding on to her only life-saving straw. She was panicked and pitiful. Seeing her like this, Hua Chenhuan's anger rose to the peak. She hugged Su Yiyan tightly and comforted her gently. Of course it's true. I've confirmed it with Uncle Zhang. The child is fine. He's fine. Nothing happened to him. Su Yiyan definitely believed Hua Chenhuan. But at this time, if she did not see the child with her own eyes and confirm that he was safe, it would be futile no matter what others said. Hua Chenhuan naturally understood this point. As she spoke, she carried the child and rushed inside. Because of what had just happened, the atmosphere in the house was unusually solemn. When Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan entered the hall, they immediately saw the family's servants and security guards gathered in the hall. In the middle of them, a female servant in her early 40s was tied up with rope. She sat on the ground with her head slightly lowered, looking dispirited. The little Zai, who had almost been stolen, was in Uncle Zhang's arms. His big eyes were rolling around, completely unaware of what had happened to him not long ago. Su Yiyan's eyes were full of Zai. When she saw the child, she immediately rushed over. Young madam. When Uncle Zhang saw Su Yiyan coming over, he immediately let go of the child in his arms. When the little boy saw his mother, he happily waved his chubby little arms and giggled. Su Yiyan hugged him and carefully checked him from head to toe. After making sure that he was really okay, she finally felt relieved. She lowered her head and rubbed Zai's chubby face. She complained softly. You little brat, you really scared your mother to death. Hua Chenhuan had followed Su Yiyan all the way here. Now she was standing beside Su Yiyan. Looking at the smiling faces of the mother and son, her heart softened a lot. But that didn't mean that he had forgotten the anger he felt when he first received the call, and learned that his son had almost been stolen. What the hell is going on? Hua Chenhuan's sharp gaze swept across the maid on the ground. If looks could kill, she would not have had the chance to speak at all. This maid could be considered as an old member of the family Hua. She knew how powerful Hua Chenhuan was. Being stared at by him like this, the cold sweat on her forehead became more severe. Her lips trembled slightly, and she couldn't speak for a long time. When Uncle Zhang saw this, his face sank. He stepped forward and explained to the two of them, Young master, it's like this. It turned out that about an hour ago, after the nanny fed the little boy milk and coaxed him to sleep, she suddenly received a courier call, and went out for a while. In less than 10 minutes, the maid sitting on the ground sneaked into the baby's room, and carried out the baby who was still sleeping soundly. If Yuan hadn't reacted in time and snatched the child back before this woman carried the young master out of the door, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When Uncle Zhang said this, Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan were both stunned. They subconsciously turned to look at Yuan, who was wearing a pink apron. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She freed a hand and patted Yuan's little head. She praised. So it was Yuan who snatched little brother back. That's great. Chapter 849. Receiving Su Yiyan's praise, little Yuan blushed and said shyly, Protecting the little master is what Yuan should do. Dun, who was at the side, saw that Su Yiyan praised Yuan, but did not praise it. It seemed to be a little dissatisfied and ran around Su Yiyan's feet. It followed behind the dog daddy, and also circled around Su Yiyan. The father and son circled Su Yiyan for a long time, and realized that Su Yiyan had no reaction at all. They couldn't help but move forward and nudge Su Yiyan's calf. Su Yiyan only noticed Dundun now, and mistakenly thought that he was concerned about the baby. She quickly hugged the baby and leaned over to comfort him. Dundun, do you want to see the baby? Don't worry, the baby is fine. Dundun barked twice and sat on Su Yiyan's right foot unhappily. Following suit, Dundun walked to Su Yiyan's left foot and sat down as well. Su Yiyan, who had 2 dogs on her feet, was speechless. Ahem. Uncle Zhang saw this scene and coughed softly. He smiled faintly and said, "They might be angry that young mistress only praised Yuan Yuan and not them when they helped just now." Su Yiyan was surprised. They helped too? After Yuan Yuan chased after her, she took the little master back from this woman. These 2 followed behind Yuan Yuan. When they saw that this woman wanted to take the child back, they bit her. Where did they bite? Ahem. Uncle Zhang blushed and didn't answer. However, a young girl on the side held back her laughter and said, "It was the place with the most meat." These 2 little guys bit so fiercely that they almost pulled her pants off. Su Yiyan was speechless. Hua Chenhuan was speechless. This trick was a little familiar. Woof. Dundun seemed to know that someone was talking about its heroic appearance. It raised its head proudly and barked twice, its watery eyes full of praise. The corner of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched slightly. He thought to himself, "I don't know what's wrong with my dog. It only likes to bite the places with the most human flesh." However, considering that the 2 dogs did make a contribution this time, Su Yiyan was not stingy with his praise. Dundun and Silly also did a good job protecting the babies. Dundun stood up and wagged its tail like a propeller. Little Giorgio even patted Su Yiyan's calf, and showed its mouth full of steel teeth. It was as if he was saying, "Humph, don't you know who's protecting the little brat? She dared to steal their little brat. It's good enough that they didn't bite her to death." Silly girl, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. She stuck out her tongue and stared at her dog father, nodding her head from time to show her agreement. Su Yiyan looked at the 2 silly girls and couldn't bear to look at them directly. She had to focus her attention back on Yuan Yuan. How did Yuan Yuan know that this bad guy was going to steal my brother? Because of the surveillance. Surveillance. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly, and he explained to her. Yuan Yuan is a family protection robot. It can analyze whether the other party will hurt the owner from the images and character behavior in the surveillance, and react accordingly. Su Yiyan was slightly startled. Only then did she remember that since Yuan Yuan entered their house, every corner of the house had been installed with surveillance. At that time, she felt that there was something wrong. Now it seemed that it was because Yuan Yuan was only focused on the construction of the courtyard at that time, and there was no one in the house to cause trouble. Now that there was a baby in the house, and there was such a wicked thief, the role of these little things was suddenly shown. Chapter 850. Su Yiyan was both scared and relieved. He coldly glanced at the woman on the ground, lowered his head, and couldn't help but rub Zai's chubby face. After making Zai giggle, he reluctantly handed the child to Yuan Yuan and said, "Yuan Yuan, be good. Take your brother upstairs with Dundun and the others. When master and father have settled this matter, we'll go up to find you." Yuan Yuan received the order and immediately took the child upstairs. Su Yiyan watched the little ones leave until they were out of sight. After confirming that they wouldn't disturb the child, his eyes fell on the culprit. "What else do you have to explain?" I. The woman's eyes wandered, and her face was full of guilt. "Why did you do that?" The sudden angry shout scared the woman, and she said with a trembling voice, I just saw that the young master was bored in the room, so I wanted to take him out for a walk to get some fresh air and some sun. I really didn't want to steal the child. I was wronged." "Bored in the room? Get some fresh air?" Su Yiyan sneered. "Do you think all of us here are fools? Bringing a sleeping child out to bask in the sun? Do you want to give him some fresh air, or do you want to burn him to death? Even if the baby was really bored in the room, you could have told Uncle Zhang and the nanny to take the baby out for a walk in the yard. Who allowed you to secretly take the initiative to touch him when the nanny wasn't around? And who gave you the right to take him out alone?" Every time Su Yayan said a sentence, she took a step forward, and the woman subconsciously moved back in her tied-up position. In the end, she had nowhere to retreat and bumped into the edge of the sofa behind her. Trembling, she said, "I'm telling the truth. I really didn't have any other intentions. I just wanted to take the young master out for a walk. But I didn't think so much. It was indeed a little thoughtless, but I really didn't have any bad intentions. Young madam, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I promise I won't do it again." Again? This kind of thing once is scary enough. Do you still want to have a second time? Su Yiyan was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. "Uncle Zhang, call the police. Since she doesn't want to talk about it here, we'll talk about it in the police station." "Yes, young madam." Uncle Zhang turned around to make the call. The woman's expression changed slightly and she panicked. "No, don't call the police. Don't call the police. If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you worried about calling the police?" Su Yiyan saw her panicked look. "You said that you just wanted to take the child out to bask in the sun. There are so many pairs of eyes in the house, including surveillance cameras, that can prove that you want to steal the child. Everyone had their reasons. The best way was to call the police and let an impartial person investigate and judge." "Uncle Zhang, call the police." "No, don't." The woman fell to the ground and struggled to move towards Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan looked at her condescendingly. He didn't feel sorry for her at all. His tone became colder and colder. "I'll give you one last chance. Tell me the truth. Why did you steal my child?" The woman trembled and lowered her head. Her face showed that she was struggling. Su Yiyan didn't have that much time to waste with her. "Uncle Zhang, I'll talk. The woman screamed and looked up at the people around her who were looking at her coldly. Knowing that she couldn't escape today, she gritted her teeth and said, "I didn't want to steal the child. Someone asked me to help take the child out. He said that as long as I brought the child out to him, he would give me a sum of money." Chapter 851. Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan looked at each other. They were not surprised. It was impossible for them to believe that there was nothing fishy about a family thief helping to steal a child. However, compared to the person in front of them who had suddenly done all this stupidly, Su Yiyan and Uncle Qiao were obviously more willing to believe that there was a shady mastermind behind her who was manipulating all of this. "Who is it?" The female servant looked up and met Hua Chenhuan's extremely cold eyes. She shivered and whispered, It's the eldest young master." The eldest young master was what the old servants in the old mansion who had been working at Hua Chenhuan's parents had called Hua Qihan. Even after Hua Chenhuan's parents had passed away, and Hua Chenhuan had taken over the old mansion and parted ways with Hua Qihan, they had not changed the way they addressed him. This answer was unexpected for Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan, but it was also reasonable. "What did he ask you to do?" "He asked me to find an opportunity to secretly take the young master out and hand him over to him. As long as I can do this, he will." "Give you money?" "Yes." "How much?" Five million. Su Yiyan sneered. "Hua Qihan, you bought my son for only 5 million yuan. Hua Qihan really made a good deal." When Uncle Zhang and the others heard Su Yiyan's words, they looked at the woman with disdain and disappointment. Most of the people who could stay in the old mansion had worked in the family Hua since Hua Chenhuan's parents' generation. Most of these people had received favors from Hua Chenhuan's parents. Even during Hua Chenhuan's most difficult period, she had never mistreated them. Therefore, most of them were very loyal and would not cause any trouble under normal circumstances. In their eyes, people like this woman, who would sell their masters for a little money, were no different from traitors. Not to mention that her target was the little young master, whom they looked at like the apple of their eye. She was simply insane. The woman met everyone's wary gazes and panicked. She begged for mercy in a loud voice. "Young master, young madam, I really had no choice but to do such a wicked thing. My son gambled and owed a huge debt. If he didn't pay it back, those people would chop off his fingers and beat him to death. My husband died early and left me with this son. I really can't watch him get beaten to death." The woman's face was covered in tears and snot. She cried pitifully. Coincidentally, the eldest young master found me and asked me to help him sneak the little young master out. I thought that since eldest young master is little young master's uncle, he definitely wouldn't hurt little young master, so I agreed to eldest young master's request and helped him with this matter. That's enough. Do you think he won't do anything to the baby because he's the baby's uncle? Or do you think that as long as you finish this job, you can get the money, and as long as you have the money, your son will be able to pay off his debts and won't be chopped off? The woman did not expect Su Yiyan to expose her true thoughts. Her eyes darted around for a moment, but she quickly calmed down and said in a sorrowful voice, "Young madam, I was at my wit's end and had no choice but to do this kind of thing in a moment of confusion. Little young master is fine now. Please forgive me this time." It would have been better if she did not say this. Once she said this, Su Yiyan was filled with anger. She was so angry that she went forward and kicked the woman to the side. "You were at your wit's end? You were at your wit's end and wanted to use my son as a sacrifice in exchange for your son's safety. You people are not worthy." Chapter 852. The woman was stunned by Su Yiyan's kick. When she came to her senses, she instinctively tried to struggle, but Su Yiyan stepped on her, rendering her unable to move. "Get this straight. My son is fine because my family was capable enough to snatch him back from you, not because you realized your mistake and sent him back safely. So, how do you have the audacity to ask me to spare you and forgive you? Or is it just like the old saying, a shameless person is invincible in the world?" This was the first time that everyone in the family Hua had seen Su Yiyan like this. In the past year that Su Yiyan had married into the family Hua, she had always been very gentle and kind to her family. She did not put on any airs and would even cook with several of the family's chefs from time to time. It was precisely because of her down-to-earth nature that everyone in the family Hua quickly became close to her, and naturally treated her as a gentle and considerate person who did not have a temper. It was only when they saw Su Yiyan like this today that they suddenly realized that Su Yiyan was not without a temper. It could even be said that when she was angry, she looked very much like Hua Chenhuan. When Hua Chenhuan saw this scene, he vaguely remembered that when Hua Xiaofeng had spoken rudely to him, Su Yiyan had also flown into a rage and rushed out to avenge him. When he thought of this, Hua Chenhuan more or less felt a little upset. Before this, he was the only one who had received such treatment. Su Yiyan, who was completely unaware that her man was still strangely jealous of her son, did not care about what the people around her thought. She only wanted to punish this thief on the spot and crush him to death. In her opinion, the person in front of her was full of lies. She did not believe a single word she had just said. Whether it was a lie or a truth, what did it have to do with her? Her son was her son, but other people's sons were not their sons? She only thought that her son's fingers would be chopped off if he did not have the money to pay his debts. Why did she not think about what would happen if her child was stolen and fell into the hands of others? Although Hua Qihan and Hua Chenhuan were brothers in name, they had turned against each other because of what had happened in the early years. Hua Qihan probably wanted to kill Hua Chenhuan now, not to mention brotherly love, especially because of the change of ownership of the Hua Corporation. Everyone knew that the relationship between the two brothers was not good. It had even reached the point where they would fight to the death. Even outsiders could see it clearly, not to mention the family Hua, who had watched the two brothers all the way until now. However, this woman could easily say that she felt that Hua Qihan was the baby's uncle and would definitely not hurt the baby. It could be seen that she was extremely selfish. "Uncle Zhang, call the police. Although I really want to kill him, we are good citizens. We can't use lynchings. Let's leave it to the professionals. I believe that the righteous ones will give me and my child a satisfactory explanation. Yes, I'll go now." Seeing that Su Yiyan had made up her mind, Uncle Zhang turned around and left without looking back. The woman did not expect that after she had explained the matter clearly, Su Yiyan still wanted to hand her over to the police. Her expression changed again, and she cried loudly, young madam, please spare me. I still have a son. He has just become an adult and knows nothing. Now those creditors are chasing him. How can he live without me? Young madam, I beg you, let me go just this once. As long as you let me go, my son and I will repay you in the future. Chapter 853. The woman cried miserably, but Su Yiyen's heart did not soften at all. Instead, as if she had been enlightened, she suddenly realized something. Oh yes, you still have a son. Yes, I still have a son. Young madam, you're also a mother, so you should know how I feel. The child can't live without his mother. My son is still so young. He can't live without me. For the sake of my son, for the sake of the family who all these years, please forgive me this time. Don't send me to the police station. I'll kowtow to you. As the woman spoke, she struggled to get up and kept kowtowing to Su Yiyen. She looked quite pitiful, but everyone present felt a little strange when they heard her words. What did she mean by for the sake of the family who all these years? She made it sound as if the family who had not paid her any salary or benefits all these years. She had suffered a great loss, but she still did not leave the family Hua. Su Yiyen's face darkened again because of her words. It's because I'm also a mother that I know how abominable the people who try to hurt my son are. The woman's face stiffened, and an ominous premonition arose in her heart. After you go to the police station, you'd better explain your crimes properly. You'd better hand over all the evidence you have. Otherwise, we won't need your son's creditors. We can deal with him. Su Yiyen leaned over to the woman's ear and chuckled. You should know that killing him is as easy as killing an ant for us. The woman was stunned for a while before she seemed to suddenly wake up. She kept begging for mercy. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Don't hurt my son. Don't hurt my son. She looked like a pitiful mother when she was worried about her son, but the things she did made people feel no sympathy for her. After Uncle Zhang called the police, the other side acted quickly. About half an hour later, a group of people came to take the woman away. They also copied a copy of the surveillance footage in the family Hua house, and the content of the transaction with Hua Qihan that the woman had kept. She did not know if Hua Qihan was really stupid or if there was no one he could trust around him, so he could only do it himself. His contact with this woman was actually done in person, without the slightest concealment. However, his arrogance and stupidity had saved Su Yiyen and the others a lot of trouble. They believed that Hua Qihan would have to go to jail today if there were no accidents. Su Yiyen watched with her own eyes as the police took the woman away. Only then did she turn around and go upstairs to look for her adorable children. At this moment, little Xingxing had already been coaxed to sleep by Yuan Yuan. He lay in the cradle with his eyes closed, but his mouth was slightly open. From time to time, he would squirm a few times. It was unknown if he was dreaming of something delicious. Dundun and Silly Girl circled around the cradle happily, but their movements were very light and did not make any noise to disturb the sleeping angel in the cradle. When Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan entered the house, they saw this scene. Most of the anger that had accumulated outside was extinguished, and they could not help but smile a little more. When Yuan Yuan, who was also guarding the cradle, saw the two of them come in, she immediately said shyly, "Master, the little master has fallen asleep." Well, Yuan Yuan did a good job. Su Yiyen smiled faintly and touched Yuan Yuan's head, praising her. After praising her, she thought of the two little guys circling below and quickly added, "You all did a good job today. Chenhuan, the babies and I should thank you." Chapter 854. Yuan Yuan and the two little guys were very happy to hear Su Yiyen say so. Dundun in particular, raised its head and patted Su Yiyen's calf happily and reservedly, as if to say, "You're welcome, you're welcome." Su Yiyen was amused by it. She picked it up and rubbed it from head to toe, kneading the big meaty guy into a soft puddle. Dundun enjoyed it, and was angry at the same time. It felt that its owner had embarrassed it in front of its son. As soon as Su Yiyen's hands stopped, it jumped out of her arms and ran out with its son. Yuan Yuan followed the two dogs out of the door. Suddenly, only the two adults and the sleeping baby were left in the room. Su Yiyen stood by the cradle and reached out to poke the little guy's warm and soft little face. Her heart was finally at ease. Hua Chenhuan stepped forward and hugged her waist. He whispered, "Yan Yan, I'm sorry." Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. After she reacted, she couldn't help laughing. "Why are you apologizing? It's not your fault. If you hadn't brought Yuan home, the baby would have been in danger this time. Don't worry. The same thing won't happen again." "Well, I believe you." Su Yiyan leaned in Hua Chenhuan's arms and rubbed his chin. Then she seemed to think of something and her face darkened. "That woman. I've already asked Xiaoyang to keep an eye on her. Don't worry. Neither she nor Hua Qihan can escape." He originally wanted to spare Hua Qihan's life for the sake of his parents. He wanted to let him have a taste of what it was like to be kicked when a man was down and bullied when he was down. But of all things, he shouldn't have done that to his child. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. He had already calculated that even if this incident didn't take his life, he would definitely put him in jail. As for whether they could come out alive after entering, that was something that no one could guarantee. It was impossible for Su Yiyan to have any sympathy for these two people. She only said in a low voice, "Get someone to check on that woman's son." "You suspect she's lying? I just want to see what kind of stupid brat this gambler is. He gambled so much that his mother stole his child. And then, if what she said is true, will you soften your heart?" Soft-hearted. Su Yiyan turned to look at Hua Chenhuan, as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. "Am I such a saintly person in your heart? Of course not. In my heart, you are kind, smart, opinionated, and have a clear distinction between good and evil. It's just that I heard that a girl's heart would soften after giving birth, so it's true that one's heart will soften after giving birth to a baby, but it also depends on who it is." As Su Yiyan spoke, she couldn't help but reach out to touch her baby's chubby face. That woman raised her child alone, and was implicated by her son. It sounded really pitiful, but there must be something hateful about a pitiful person. The reason why a brat would become a brat was because no parent was innocent. Just from what that woman said, it could be seen that her son might not be a good child. She was definitely not a good parent herself. She could not even be considered a good person. At the thought that her child had almost fallen into Hua Qihan's hands because of that woman, Su Yiyan's heart was as hard as a stone. She could pick it up and smash her head with it at any moment. Hua Qihan hated Hua Chenhuan so much. When she was pregnant, his child had died from a miscarriage because of Hua Xiaofeng's pushing. Who knew if this person would be crazy enough to kill or throw away their child? Chapter 855. Hua Qihan is the mastermind, and she is an accomplice. In my heart, they are equally abominable. There is no such thing as who is innocent and who is less guilty. Hua Chenhuan thought deeply. He pursed his lips and said apologetically, "Hua Qihan probably wants to use the baby to threaten me and make me return the Hua Corporation to him." "I know." Su Yiyan lowered her eyes slightly, and there was a hint of coldness in them. "I also know that if the baby really falls into his hands, even if you return the Hua Corporation to him, he will not return the baby to us." This matter was said to be a kidnapping, but in fact it was a premeditated kidnapping. The worst result of the kidnapping was to kill the baby and lose both the baby and the money. The best result, from Hua Qihan's point of view, must be to send the baby away so that she and Hua Chenhuan would never be able to find him again. At the thought of this possibility, Su Yiyan's heart twisted. Her child, who was only a month old, was about to be involved in this dirty power struggle and become a bargaining chip in others' hands. No matter what, since Hua Qihan dared to do such a thing, don't blame me for being cruel. If you don't have the heart to punish him, you can leave this matter to my brother and my grandfather. Anyway, I will never let him go so easily. When Hua Chenhuan heard Su Yiyan's words, he couldn't help but laugh. He asked in a low voice, "In your eyes, am I such a saint? After all, he is your brother. You." Before Su Yiyan could finish, Hua Chenhuan had already interrupted her. "My parents are the ones who have something to do with him. He has nothing to do with me." Huh. Su Yiyan didn't quite understand what he meant and turned to look at him in confusion. Hua Chenhuan didn't dwell on this topic. "Don't worry. I've always been soft-hearted to you and the baby. He doesn't deserve it." Su Yiyan turned her head and looked into Hu Chenhuan's eyes. Knowing that Hu Chenhuan wasn't lying, her heart settled down. She buried her face in Hu Chenhuan's arms and didn't say anything else. Su Yiyan had thought that Hu Qihan would be arrested soon since there were witnesses and evidence. She did not expect to suddenly receive news from the police that night. Hu Qihan had gotten the news in advance and had run away. She could not find him for the time being. How did you get the news in advance? Could it be that there is another mole in the family? Su Yiyan's face was very ugly, and her heart could not help but tremble. What if there were other traitors in the family who were tipping him off? She and Hu Chenhuan couldn't be at home 24/7. And Uncle Zhang and the others couldn't be by their children's side 24/7 either. The same thing could happen a second time if it happened once. What if Yuan didn't react in time this time? Hu Chenhuan knew what she was thinking when he saw her face. He held her hand tightly and comforted her. Don't panic. Listen to me. There is no mole in the family. It should be that the woman and Hu Qihan made an appointment in advance. Hu Qihan didn't see her for a long time and couldn't get through to her phone. Then he realized that something was wrong and ran away in advance. Su Yiyan frowned slightly and looked puzzled. An appointment in advance? But how did they know in advance when the nanny would leave the room, and when the woman would sneak the child out for him? The nanny who was responsible for taking care of the baby was also an elder in the family, because there were 7 or 8 grandchildren in the family, and she had rich experience in taking care of children. She was appointed by Uncle Zhang to take care of little Xingxing. Chapter 856. After Su Yiyan and the child returned from the hospital, she had been taking care of little Xingxing. In addition to taking care of the child, the nanny didn't have to do any other work. She basically wouldn't leave the child's side, unless Su Yiyan's mind flashed. Is it that express delivery? Yes. Hu Qihan bribed the courier to deliver the goods at a fixed time, and then found some excuses to delay him in order to buy time for that woman. No wonder. In this case, it could explain why Hu Qihan could get the news in advance and run away. It was clearly the appointed time, but he didn't show up after waiting for a long time, and the phone couldn't get through. No matter how stupid a person was, he should have realized that something was wrong. How could he not run away? Knowing that there was no other mole in the family, Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, she was a little nervous. Could he have gone abroad? No. Hu Chenhuan patted her head to comfort her. Before calling the police, Xiao Yang and the others had informed all the major airports in advance to detain him as soon as they found his trace. They haven't found him yet, so he must still be in the country. Su Yiyan pursed her lips and hesitated. Why don't I take little Xingxing to work tomorrow? Are you worried? As long as we don't catch him, I won't feel at ease. Su Yiyan seemed to think of something as she spoke. She whispered, It's not that I don't trust Uncle Zhang and the others, but after today's incident, I panic when the child is out of my sight for a while. I'm afraid that he will be taken away again. Hu Chenhuan saw her like this, and her eyes were full of heartache. I understand. Let the nanny accompany you tomorrow. Su Yiyan was stunned. She didn't expect Hu Chenhuan to agree so easily. Instead, she felt a little embarrassed. No, I can do it alone. During the month of confinement, although her family didn't let her do any heavy work and the child was basically taken care of by the nanny, she was really bored and learned how to make milk and change diapers from the nanny. In addition, the baby had been very obedient since birth. As long as he wasn't starved or frightened, he rarely made a fuss or cried. Su Yiyan was full of confidence and felt that he could do it alone. Hu Chenhuan saw that her fighting spirit was reignited, and she was no longer as nervous and worried as before. She smiled and said, Okay, if you can't handle it alone, you can ask number 1 and the others for help. Number 1 was the leader of the bodyguards that Hu Chenhuan had arranged to protect Su Yiyan. These people had no names, only code names. At first, they only hid in the dark to protect Su Yiyan. At the same time, they also helped Hu Chenhuan. Ahem, they secretly took pictures of her. However, after Su Yiyan made it clear that he did not hate the existence of these people, this group of people changed from being in the dark to being in the light. Every day, they followed Su Yiyan in and out, basically being on duty 24/7. Number 1. Su Yiyan was stunned, her face full of disbelief. Aren't they bodyguards? They know how to take care of the child. Each of them was as thick as a tower, dark and strong. Some of them even had scars on their faces. If they stood in front of the child, it would be good enough if the child didn't cry. How could they help her coax the child? Don't worry. They have undergone all kinds of professional training before they took on the job. Basically, it's not difficult for them to change light bulbs, fix circuits, and take care of the child. Su Yiyan. Were the requirements for being a bodyguard these days so high? Chapter 857. The next day, Su Yiyan pushed the stroller out of the family's front door with a stomach full of doubts and curiosity. On the way to the company, Su Yiyan's gaze fell on Number 1, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. After all, Number 1 had received professional training and was quite sensitive to other people's gazes. When Su Yiyan looked at him, he noticed it immediately. Along the way, he was aware of every look that Su Yiyan threw at him. Along the way, he felt like he was sitting on pins and needles, and he broke out in cold sweat. Those who didn't know would think that there were many enemies lurking around along the way. It made him panic, as if he was facing a great enemy. When they finally arrived at the East City Gate, Su Yiyan finally couldn't help but ask him, "Do you know how to take care of the child?" Number 1 didn't understand why Su Yiyan would ask this. He looked at her blankly and then said with a serious face, "If young madam needs it, I can." Su Yiyan. What do you mean by, "if I need it"? I suspect you're driving. Forget it, I'll take care of him myself. Su Yiyan pushed the pink stroller into the company through the front door. She passed by the front desk and went straight to the office upstairs. Little did she know that as soon as she left, the news of the big boss bringing a newborn young master to the company spread to every corner of the company as if it had wings. A group of strange uncles and aunties who were resting in the company were all eager to go up and see what the boss's child looked like. "Baby, look, this is Mommy's office. Mommy's office is very spacious and beautiful, isn't it? Look, there are even small cars down there, one after another small cars." Su Yiyan carried Zai Zai to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the cars coming and going on the street below. Little Xingxing stared with his big round eyes without crying or making a fuss. He curiously stared at the cars below for a long time without getting tired of it. In the end, Su Yiyan was a little tired from carrying Zai Zai. Zai Zai also seemed a little hungry, so she put the child back into the cradle. Su Yiyan had just made the milk and stuffed it into the child's mouth when the office door opened. "Come in." "Cough Yiyan, it's me." As soon as Xia Junxing entered the office, he saw the pink pram beside the desk. He thought of the hot topic in the company group not long ago, and his expression became subtle. Su Yiyan helped Zai Zai hold the milk bottle with one hand and patted the little guy with the other to prevent him from choking. Hearing the voice, he raised his head and looked at Xia Junxing. "What's the matter?" Xia Junxing hesitated for a moment. In the end, he couldn't overcome his curiosity and asked seriously, "You brought the child to the company?" "Something happened at home yesterday. I was worried about leaving the child at home, so I brought him here." As Su Yiyan spoke, she seemed to have thought of something. She said awkwardly, "Is there a company rule against bringing children here? I didn't think too much about it before. Ahem, that's all for today. I'll see what I can do tomorrow. I promise I won't let him disturb you or delay your work." When Xia Junxing heard her words, he couldn't help but laugh. "The company doesn't say that you can't bring children here. Moreover, your office is independent, and the soundproofing is good. He won't disturb others. I don't mean anything else. I'm just a little curious about your baby. To be precise, many of the company's employees are very curious about your baby. Now they are discussing how to form a team to sneak up and steal the baby." Su Yiyan's hands paused. She almost thought that she had heard wrongly. The company's many employees? Chapter 858. Some people saw you pushing the trolley up and sent it to the company's group chat. Now many people are eyeing your baby covetously. Why did she feel like she had just escaped the tiger's den and entered the wolf's den? Su Yiyan glanced at the little guy who was drinking milk with his eyes narrowed. Baby, you are so popular. People want to steal you wherever you go. However, Su Yiyan also knew that the verbal theft of these people in the company was different from the theft yesterday. She only snorted jokingly. Assign more work to them. When they are busy, they won't have time to think about my baby. Xia Junxing was amused by her words and echoed, that makes sense. Su Yiyan glanced at him suspiciously and asked with a smile, Brother Junxing, are you also a member of the child stealing team? No. I'm just here to tell you. I'm here to tell you that Dancing Red will be completed at the end of this month. The artists in the company have fewer scenes, but most of them have already returned. So soon? Have you arranged the things I asked you to arrange before? It's all arranged. Xia Junxing paused and said thoughtfully. In addition, there is a more important thing that I think it is necessary to tell you in advance. What is it? Ning Qirui is in love. Su Yiyan froze and exclaimed after she reacted. What did you say? Ah. The little guy who was drinking milk was startled and was about to cry. Su Yiyan was shocked and couldn't care about anything else. She quickly stuffed the pacifier back into his mouth and patted him gently to coax him. Good boy, it's Mommy's fault. Mommy shouldn't have spoken so loudly and scared you. I'll pat you. Just pat you and you'll be fine. It was the first time Xia Junxing saw Su Yiyan coaxing a child, and he was a little absent-minded. Almost 2 years ago, when they first met, Su Yiyan in Xia Junxing's eyes was still a child who had just stepped into society. Who would have thought that 2 years later, this girl had quickly married and even had a child? The most heart-wrenching thing was that as her brother, he was still single. Su Yiyan didn't notice the complicated feelings in Xia Junxing's heart. It wasn't easy to coax the child, and a layer of cold sweat had already appeared on her forehead. Heaving a sigh of relief, he recalled the topic they had just discussed and continued to ask, with whom? Could it be you sure? It was no wonder that Su Yiyan's first reaction was these two people. They were really close in age and had similar family backgrounds. Most importantly, they had just worked together on the drama, Dancing Red, not long ago. After being in the same crew for so long, it was possible that feelings would develop over time. The tricky part was that whether it was Ning Qirui or Yu Yushi, they both came from talent shows and were considered to be popular. Logically speaking, they should not be able to find a boyfriend or girlfriend before they changed careers. Otherwise, it was very likely that it would be a fatal blow to their career. This should also be the main reason why Xia Junxing specifically mentioned this to Su Yiyan. Some companies would have a rigid rule in the early stage of the contract that artists could not be in a relationship for a few years after joining the company. This was to prevent the sudden exposure of a relationship from being too big of an impact, and all the early investments would be for naught. However, the situation of these two people was relatively special. They belonged to the type of people who would inherit the family business if they didn't properly mingle in the industry. The public relations department would probably be worried sick if they encountered this matter. Xia Junxing was silent for a moment and shook his head. No. It's Miss Xia Ningxi, the screenwriter of Dancing Red. Su Yiyan. Chapter 859. Su Yiyan was dumbfounded. When did these two hook up? After the important supporting male character broke away from the control of the pretentious female lead, he had his own new couple. She didn't even know about it. You mean Ning Qirui is dating Miss Xia Ningxi, the scriptwriter of Dancing Red? When did this happen? Who knows about it? The baby in the stroller seemed to be frightened by Su Yiyan's sudden raised voice. He pulled out the pacifier and pursed his lips. He was about to cry again. Su Yiyan's imposing manner suddenly weakened, and she hurriedly coaxed, Mommy was wrong, Mommy was wrong. I won't scare you anymore. Don't cry. After comforting the child, Su Yiyan looked up at Xia Junxing inquiringly again. Xia Junxing opened his mouth and was about to explain when there was another knock on the door. Who would come at this time? Su Yiyan frowned. Come in. The office door was opened. Su Yiyan looked up and was amused. Oh, you came at the right time. I was just talking about you. Speak of the devil. The people who came in were none other than Ning Qirui and Yu Yusher, whom Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan had just been talking about. Behind them was Yin Luoshan. Me. Ning Qirui, who was walking in front, looked around and pointed at himself with a blank face. What did you say about me? You said that a certain young master kept saying that he wanted to be in the entertainment industry and concentrate on his work. In the end, he only acted in one drama and hooked up with a girlfriend. He only wants to date and has no heart to work. When Ning Qirui heard her words, he probably guessed what she was talking about. He touched his nose guiltily and laughed. When fate comes, it can't be stopped. You can't let me watch the person I like slip away from me for the sake of my career and die alone. Su Yiyan almost laughed at his words. He said it in such a dignified manner. Those who didn't know better would think that he fell in love at first sight and would marry no one but her. If he missed this opportunity, he would really be single for the rest of his life. Oh men, who knew what would happen in the future when they spoke sweet words and pledged their love. A lifetime was not short. Leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist. Tell me, when did you two hook up? Ning Qirui chuckled. What do you mean by hooking up? It's too unpleasant to hear. Xiaoxi and I didn't have any feelings for each other at first sight, but we fell in love when we saw each other again. Speak human language. It's just that after interacting with her for a long time on set, I feel that she's a good person. She also has a good impression of me, and after a while, feelings blossomed. Ha! Su Yiyan heard Ning Qirui's words and glanced at him with disdain. Look, other people joined the production team to work, but this guy used work as an excuse to pick up girls. He didn't do his job properly. As if sensing Su Yiyan's disdain, the corners of Ning Qirui's mouth twitched slightly. He felt wronged and said, although it's not good for me to be in a relationship during work hours, it doesn't affect my work. My performance in the drama is remarkable and worthy of recognition. Even Director Luo praised me for my talent in this area. They can all testify to that. Yu Yusher and Yin Luoshan did not expect that they would be implicated in the drama. They were shocked and hurriedly said, no, I didn't. We don't know anything. Ning Qirui was speechless. After all, they were colleagues who had been in the production team for several months. How could they sell out at this time? The snacks that he had asked the chef at home to send over for the past few months were ultimately paid for wrongly. Chapter 860. No one expected that the person who rescued Ning Qirui from this embarrassing situation was none other than the little guy in the stroller. Oh, there was only a thin layer of the milk bottle left, but little Xingxing took the initiative to pull out the pacifier. He opened his big eyes and waved his chubby little arms to ask for a hug. Su Yiyan's heart softened when she saw him like this. How could she still be in the mood to pursue someone for picking up girls on set? She put the milk bottle aside and picked up the baby. Baby, are you full? Come, let mommy touch you. Su Yiyan touched the baby's frog belly as she spoke, causing the baby to giggle. When the little guy was just born, he was already close to 8 catties. Over the past month, he had been eating and sleeping to his heart's content. He had been nourished until he was smooth and tender, white and plump. His pair of small hands were like lotus roots, jointed and jointed. Several people ran up at this time to take a look at the baby. When they saw Su Yiyan pick him up, their eyes lit up. Especially the 2 girls. Their eyes lit up like light bulbs when they saw such a fair and well-behaved baby. Yin Luoshan was more shy. No matter how much she liked the baby, she was too embarrassed to say it. However, Yu Yusher did not have such concerns. When she saw the legendary little prince of the boss's family, she subconsciously took a step forward and said happily, "Boss, is this your baby? He looks so cute. Can I hold him?" Su Yiyan glanced at her in surprise. Only then did Yu Yusher realize that her request seemed a little abrupt. She was hesitating whether to say something to remedy the situation when she heard Su Yiyan say, "Sure." Su Yiyan's straightforwardness was surprising. Yu Yusher was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. Really? Of course. Su Yiyan looked helpless. Yu Yusher and the others were her employees. and they had a superior and subordinate relationship with her. She just wanted to hold her baby. She was not so petty. Hold him here. Yes, slow down. Hold him here. Very good. Su Yiyan corrected her hand gesture as she carefully placed the baby in her hand. It was probably Yu Yusher's first time coming into contact with such soft little creatures. Her entire body stiffened, but her heart was soaring with excitement. He's so soft, so small, and so fragrant. Pfft. Su Yiyan couldn't help but burst out laughing. Yu Yusher also knew that what she said was very silly. Her face was slightly red, but she still stubbornly said, "It's true. It smells like milk. It's fragrant." The corner of Ning Chirue's mouth twitched when he heard Yu Yusher's words. "I suspect that you'll bite him in the next second. Strange auntie. Don't think that I won't beat you up just because you're the young master of the Ning family. Come on, who's afraid of who?" Su Yiyan looked at the two people who could quarrel with just a few words and suddenly realized how naive he was to think that the two of them would become a couple. Yun Luoshan was not surprised that the two of them would quarrel whenever they met. She reached out to poke the baby's little face, but the baby grabbed her finger instead. Yun Luoshan was shocked. For a moment, she didn't know whether to pull her hand back or continue poking. Su Yiyan turned her head and saw her baby grabbing the beautiful young lady's finger and giggling. She froze for a moment and chuckled softly. "The baby seems to like you very much." Yun Luoshan looked at the child and couldn't help but touch the back of her head and giggle. "Maybe I'm more popular with children." Chapter 861. No, it should be because you're younger, and the generation gap between you and the baby is smaller. The two older people were at a loss for words as they quarreled over such a trivial matter. They felt like they had been implicated. At this age, the baby was not afraid of strangers and did not cry or make a fuss when he was held in the arms of strangers. The well-behaved baby was always particularly popular. At first, Yu Yusher and the others were a little restrained, but later, they began to tease the baby with various small toys in the stroller. It was worth mentioning that when girls, especially beautiful girls like Yun Luoshan, teased him, the little guy would laugh very happily. However, when it came to Ning Chirue or Xia Junsheng, the baby would only stare at them with his big black grape-like eyes with an innocent face. Ning Chirue did not believe it. He made faces, rang the bell, and tried all the toys in the stroller, but he did not get a smile from the baby. Yu Yusher picked up a small rattle and turned it around. The tinkling sound instantly attracted the child's attention. The baby stared at the rattle for a long time, then suddenly opened his mouth and revealed a big smile. Oh, he smiled. His smile is so cute. He hasn't even grown teeth yet. His teeth are pink and soft. Ha 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 ha. The happier Yu Yusher laughed, the more depressed Ning Chirue was. He finally couldn't help but stand up and say angrily, "Damn, I suspect that he's sexist." Su Yiyan did not expect her baby to know how to treat girls, especially beautiful girls, differently at such a young age. When he grew up, he would probably be a Huahua prince who went around coaxing little girls. It must be that the baby's father was too indecent when she was pregnant. He must have led the baby astray by sweet-talking all day long. Achoo! Hua Chenhuan, who was busy confirming Hua Qihan's whereabouts with Gu Xiaoyang and the others, suddenly felt an itch in her nose and sneezed in front of several subordinates. This sudden change made the originally serious atmosphere in the conference room become subtle in an instant. After a moment of silence, Zui Yanbai asked with concern, "Did you catch a cold?" "No." Hua Chenhuan rubbed her nose and smiled. "It should be Yin Yan and the baby who are thinking about me. The three of them." They were caught off guard by a mouthful of dog food. Could single dogs have some human rights? "Have you found out where Hua Qihan is?" Yu Zian raised his eyebrows and a malicious smile appeared on his face. "Isn't it easy to find out where he is? He has a moving time bomb by his side. As long as you want it to explode, you can make it explode whenever you want." Hearing his words, Gu Xiaoyang could not help but squint his eyes and say sarcastically, "He even brought her along when he was fleeing. It seems that he really loves her." Husband and wife are birds in the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly separately. Even an old couple was like this, not to mention a couple like them who had left home halfway through their marriage. He treats her as his true love. I'm afraid she wants to kill him every minute. Zui Yanbai turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. Young master, do you want to inform the police now? Since the three of them knew that Hua Qihan had bribed the people in the old mansion to steal their little prince, they were all eager to rush to Hua Qihan and press him to the ground. Hua Chenhuan pondered for a moment and chuckled. Send someone to keep an eye on them and inform the police of their whereabouts. By the way, inform Hua Qihan that the police already know his whereabouts. Chapter 862. The three of them looked at each other in surprise. Inform him? Then wouldn't he run away in advance? That's why I asked you to keep an eye on him. Hua Chenhuan glanced at the three of them. Let someone inform the police every time you find a place to stay. Let him run away before they catch him. You want to let him run around like a rat crossing the street, without a fixed place to stay? To wear down his willpower? What willpower can he have now? Hua Chenhuan sneered, her eyes full of coldness and disdain. Hiding from place to place like a shameful animal. Every time you think you finally have a safe place to stay, you're immediately discovered. Once or twice is fine, but if it happens a few more times or a dozen times, what will you do? I'll go crazy. Compared to being hopeless at the beginning, being disappointed again and again with subtle hope, and finally discovering that the so-called hope was just an illusion, complete despair was the most torturous and the most devastating. If Hua Qihan was a rat, then their young master was a cat. The rat that fled in panic always thought that it could escape and see the light again. Little did it know that when it fell into the cat's trap, it had already become a turtle in a jar. No matter how it struggled, it was doomed to be punished. After Zui Yanbai understood this, his whole body shook and he said solemnly, I know what to do. Hua Chenhuan looked up and glanced at him. Keep an eye on him. I don't want the same thing to happen again. As soon as these words came out, the three of them felt their scalps tighten. Hua Chenhuan only told Su Yiyan that Hua Qihan had bribed the courier and stalled the nanny at home to buy time for the woman to commit the crime. But she didn't tell her that Hua Qihan had something to do with the woman's son's gambling and debt. The woman didn't lie about this matter. Her husband died young, and she raised the child alone. The family Hua gave her a high salary, so it wasn't difficult for her to raise the child alone. However, because the child did not have a father, she always felt that she owed her son. She spent all her hard-earned money on her son, but she forgot that there were some things that money could not make up for. She thought that her selfless dedication did not earn her son's gratitude. Instead, it made him become extravagant, extremely vain, and fond of competing with others. Hua Qihan took advantage of this and easily pulled him into the fire pit. He used this as a breakthrough point to bribe that woman. Ever since Hua Chenhuan took over the Hua Corporation and drove Hua Qihan out, she had been sending people to secretly monitor his every move. However, his subordinates had not noticed anything that he had done. This was what made Hua Chenhuan angry. This was a dereliction of duty on the part of those who were sent to spy on them, as well as the negligence of the three of them. They could only pray that Hua Qihan would be made more miserable, so that Hua Chenhuan would be a little less angry. They could also atone for their mistakes. Su Yiyan did not know about the little episode here. When she heard Ning Qirui's complaint, she solemnly exonerated her son. Like repel, opposites attract. This is the law of nature. It's undeniable that your face is indeed a little handsome according to a girl's aesthetic, but this doesn't mean that you can attract both men and women and make boys like you. Let me give you a simple example. Brother Junsheng, do you like him? Xia Junxing, who was suddenly called out, said, No. See, he doesn't like you either. This has nothing to do with gender discrimination. It's only about yourself. Ning Qirui was speechless. After all this time, it was still my fault. Chapter 863. Ning Qirui, who was treated differently by the child and inexplicably took the blame, shut himself up on the spot. Xia Junxing had other work to deal with, so he left first. The baby hit it off with Yin Luoshan. With her coaxing the child, Su Yiyan could also take some time to comfort the old employees of the company. I thought that after what happened before, your sister wouldn't let you continue to stay in this circle. Yu Yushir was stunned, and it took her a while to realize that Su Yiyan was talking to her. Although my sister is worried about me, she also dotes on me. As long as it's something I decide, she rarely interferes. So you've made up your mind to continue down this path? I didn't want to quit. Yu Yushir looked a little disappointed when she said this. I don't have any other strengths. My sister is in charge of the family and the company. Even if I enter the company, I'll only drag her down. It's better to find something else to do. Besides, it's not easy for me to make friends. She's so soft-hearted. If I'm not around, who knows if she'll be bullied. I didn't expect you to have some self-awareness. Before Yu Yushir finished speaking, Ning Chirue interrupted with a faint smile. Yu Yushir was so angry that she almost jumped up and hit him. You still have the nerve to talk about me? Aren't you the same? Ning Chirue was at a loss for words. He touched his nose and said embarrassedly, Okay, I can't talk about you. I'm the same as you. My brother is in charge of the family. I'm not cut out for business. I can't do anything since I was young. I can only eat and wait for death. Yu Yushir did not expect him to say this. After a long time she said, Oh, you know yourself quite well. Well, the words that someone said a minute ago were thrown back at him. Then the two of them glared at each other for a long time. Suddenly, they sighed and lowered their heads like two defeated roosters. Su Yiyan watched the two of them go back and forth and found it quite interesting. As the youngest in the family, she could understand their feelings. As the youngest child in the family, most of them were the most favored one, but the most favored one did not mean that they were the best one. Other children were often compared, let alone this kind of child who was raised in the same family. Even if their family members did not compare them, outsiders would still gossip about them. Fortunately, the family loved the child enough and taught him well. They didn't raise the child astray. Otherwise, who knows how the family would have become restless. Are the two of you so unambitious? TSK, no wonder you can't do anything. Yu Yushir did not expect Su Yiyan to not comfort them, and even hit them when they were down. They immediately raised their heads and glared at Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan was not afraid of them. He snorted coldly and said, Rely on your face to make a living. She had to have a face that was prettier than others first. Also, do you really think you can act in Director Luo's drama just because you have a face? Do you really think that our company's long-term contract is something that anyone can sign casually? Are you looking down on me? Or are you looking down on Director Luo? Yu Yushir and Ning Chirue were both stunned and did not know how to answer for a moment. Seeing that the two of them did not speak, Su Yiyan snorted again and said ruthlessly, From tomorrow, no, from this afternoon. I will ask Brother Junxing to arrange a few more classes for you. Take advantage of your free time to learn a few more things. With real talent, who would dare to say that you rely on your face to make a living? Isn't it good to be a young master and a young lady? You only know how to let your imagination run wild. I think you're all too free and spoiled. Chapter 864. When Ning Chirue heard that he still had to attend classes after entering the company, he felt a headache coming on. He begged for mercy with a bitter face. No, no, no. Let me earn a living with my face. I like to earn a living with my face. I've been lying at home for so long. I have to take those bitter medicine every day and receive all kinds of treatment. Now that I've finally recovered, I can't overwork myself. I've just recovered from a serious illness. You've arranged so many classes for me at once. What if I get sick from exhaustion again? Me too, me too. Although my leg has recovered, it's still very fragile. The doctor also said that I have to recuperate well and not overwork myself. Let's just forget about the classes, shall we? Su Yiyan looked at the two people who were avoiding her like the plague. She raised her chin slightly and chuckled. Now you're afraid? It's too late. I'm the one who treated your illness. Your leg injury only looks serious. Young people recover quickly. You've been recuperating for more than half a year and are as strong as bulls. I'm just asking you to attend a few more classes. I'm not asking for your lives. There's no room for discussion. The two of them opened their mouths and wanted to refuse. Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes and dared to bare her teeth and threaten them before they could speak. If you continue, I'll add a few more classes. The two of them knew that she might really say it. They were instantly discouraged and secretly cursed in their hearts. Bad boss, Zhou Yan, evil capitalist exploiter. While the two of them were depressed, Yin Luoshan held a sky blue ball in her hand. She turned her head and asked Su Yiyan hesitantly, President Su, can I take a picture with the baby? Su Yiyan's lips curled slightly. She left the two fuming people behind and walked to the other side of the stroller. She touched her baby's soft and meaty little hand and said, sure. Yin Luoshan's eyes lit up slightly. Yu Yushir also recovered from her initial depression. She walked to her side and skillfully put her arms on her shoulders like a koala hugging a tree. Can I post it online? Yes, but you can't show your face. Understood. Thank you, boss. Su Yiyan was so angry that she almost laughed. At this time, she knew that she was her boss. When Ning Chirue heard that the two girls wanted to take a photo with the baby, he did not want to be left out, and came over to take a photo. They stayed in Su Yiyan's office for about an hour. They were worried that they might affect Su Yiyan's work, so they left. Before she left, Yu Yushir mysteriously moved closer to Su Yiyan. Actually, my sister agreed to let me stay. Other than me wanting to stay, there's another reason. What is the reason? It's you, boss. Me. That's right. My sister said that although our company is small, boss, you look like the kind of person who is very protective of people. As long as I don't cause any trouble and work hard to make money for the company. Even if someone dares to bully me, boss, you will definitely protect me and not let anyone bully me. After all, I'm from the East City. Before you hit a dog, you have to look at its owner. Su Yiyan looked at Yu Yushir with a subtle expression. So you think you're a dog? Yu Yushir. It's just a metaphor. Oh. Yu Yushir was stunned. Just an oh and nothing else? This reaction was not right. She had sacrificed so much and self-deprecated to the point that her race had changed. Shouldn't someone be a little more touched? As if reading Yu Yushir's inner thoughts, Su Yiyan chuckled. Don't think that you can skip class by saying something nice. I'll ask Brother Junxing to send you the class schedule later. Have a good class otherwise. F***ck, her flattery was for nothing. You took a picture of the boss doll and pasted the doll's face. How can it not be related to the boss? It's also thanks to your fans that you've pulled the wind towards Yin Luoshan. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the scandal between you and Yin Luoshan that's hanging on the news right now. Instead, it would be the breaking news that you've been suspected of cheating on your boss's husband. Ning Chirue. What the hell? I didn't, don't talk nonsense. I'm innocent with the boss. Chapter 866. It turned out that not long after Ning Chirue posted that post, his opponent's anti-fans and Dongqing's internet water army were collectively mobilized. They began to shift the topic to Ning Chirue's relationship with President Su, the boss of Dongqing University, and whether the two had any personal relationship. They then extended to whether Ning Chirue and Su Yiyan had any relationship beyond that of a superior and subordinate. They even suspected that this child might be the product of Su Yiyan's affair. After all, before this, there were rumors that although Su Yiyan's husband's legs had recovered, he might not be able to function well in certain aspects. Who knew if this child was a cuckold? However, in the eyes of Ning Chirue's fans, these comments were the worst rumors and framing. Their brother was so good and outstanding. How could he be a third party when he knew that she was a married woman? Moreover, this child looked to be 2 or 3 months old. Back then, their brother was still sick and actively cooperating with the treatment. Even so, they still spread rumors that he had an affair with the boss and destroyed the boss's family. These internet water army anti-fans were really heartless. What's more, are all of you scum who spread rumors blind? Their female colleague from the same company as them had posted a similar status a few minutes ago. Why did she focus on their brother alone? Did they really think that their brother was easy to bully? The rebuttals from the fans were reasonable and well-founded. They directly hammered down this rumor that was full of mistakes and loopholes. It couldn't even float anymore. The anti-fans and internet water army were really unwilling to let such a great opportunity slip away from their hands. Since they could not start the rumor that Ning Chirue and Su Yiyen's relationship was not simple, they turned to Yun Luoshan and Ning Chirue's post. They began to vaguely hint that the relationship between the two was ambiguous and suspected of exposing their relationship. Ning Chirue figured out the whole story and was dumbfounded. Wait a minute, are they too blind? Look at the time of the post. It's obvious that Yu Yushir was the first to post. Why are the two of us being spread rumors while she was the first to post it? When the agent heard this, his eyebrows raised. What? You still want to have a scandal with her? How is that possible? I have a girlfriend. Oh, you're proud of having a girlfriend behind my back, aren't you? No. The manager snorted. The reason why the rumors spread about you and Yun Luoshan is because you and her are slightly more famous. Although Ning Chirue had disappeared from the public eye for more than half a year due to his treatment, he had already debuted and had a certain fan base before that. He was considered a popular young star that the company had promoted. As for Yun Luoshan, because the previous variety show came to the end, she temporarily formed a small girl group with 2 other female artists in the company. They signed a 1-year contract, which was about to expire soon. Because of the talent show, Dongcheng City was considered a relatively large investor. In the end, they formed a group. Although it was only for a year, Dongcheng City gave a lot of resources to this small group. Therefore, Yun Luoshan had accumulated some fame in about a year. No matter what, she was more popular than Yu Yushir, who had been injured for 100 days and was forced to withdraw from the show due to her injury. Ning Chirue's scandal was obviously caused by the other companies. In that case, of course, they had to choose 2 more famous companies to deal with. To put it bluntly, red was the original sin. If it wasn't red, it would be a protective color. Who cared who got it first? Ning Chirue, who had learned the truth, was speechless. He did not know whether to sympathize with her or envy her. Chapter 867. Like Ning Chirue, Yu Yushir and Yun Luoshan also received the news one after another after the incident on the internet. After learning that the Internet Water Army's anti-fans had skipped her and paired Yun Luoshan and Ning Chirue together, Yu Yushir was in a bad mood. It's a 3-person movie, but I don't deserve to have a name? Why? Under the explanation of her and Yun Luoshan's common manager, the 2 of them understood the twists and turns in this matter, and the atmosphere suddenly became subtle. Yun Luoshan. Yu Yushir. So what if she was a mess? She was a mess now, not forever. When her new drama came out, she must ruthlessly slap the faces of these snobs who worshipped the powerful and trampled on the weak. Sister Yushir. Yun Luoshan looked at Yu Yushir nervously and worriedly, afraid that she would be angry because of this matter. Yu Yushir was indeed angry, but not at her. Why are you looking at me like that? Although these Internet Water Army marketing accounts that stir up trouble all day long and wish for the world to be in chaos are indeed annoying, if it weren't for you in front of me, there would be rumors about me and that idiot Ning Chirue. Ugh. I'm afraid I would die of disgust. The disdain on Yu Yushir's face was too obvious. Yun Luoshan chuckled, and her heart was also relieved. The manager was also amused by the 2 of them. Did the 2 of you get the main point wrong? The focus now shouldn't be on how to deal with this matter. You 2. The 2 of them blushed at her words, but soon Yu Yushir frowned and complained. These people really have nothing better to do. It's just 2 photos, and they're even photos with the child, and they can relate it to a romance. Besides, even if these people are blind and can't see me, they actually turned a blind eye to such a big and cute baby in the photo. That's the little prince, the boss's little prince. If the child is there, the child's mother will naturally be there too. Which artiste would dance in front of the boss when they're in love? Do they want to die fast enough? Isn't looking at photos and writing words the best at this group of people? What can't they do for popularity? Not to mention that the timing of your development was coincidental. Even if you were to develop it separately, they would still be able to give you a seamless fit. Do you believe me? At this point, the manager could not help but roll his eyes. As for that little doll, in our eyes it's a little prince, but in the eyes of these vampires, it's the same model. This proves that the two of them have been in the same frame before. Yin Luoshan. Using the little crown prince as the same model cough, should she sigh at how imaginative these people were, or should she marvel at how audacious they were? Yu Yushur choked, and the disgust in her eyes intensified. What should we do now? Don't you think it's too late to ask this now? The manager glanced at Yu Yushur in disdain and sighed. The public relations department has already thought of an appropriate solution. The two of them looked at each other and asked curiously, "What is it?" The idea that the public relations department came up with, ahem, or rather, it was proposed by some of the artistes in the company who were itching to go to the office to see the little prince. It was very simple, and that was to make the sunbathing of the baby into the company's collective welfare event. Weren't those paid posters blind and could not see Yu Yushur? Then find a few people who were similar to Ning Chirui, or even higher than him, to go to Su Yiyen's office to take a photo with the child and post it. It would be a waste not to take advantage of the popularity that came knocking on their door. Since it had already come to this point, it was just the right time to create a collective hype for the entire company. Chapter 868. As a result, at least 20 people came in and out of Su Yiyen's office that morning. The threshold was almost broken. From popular actors like Luo Weibing and Xue Kaiwei to new artists like Zheng Qiuying and Huang Zitong, the originally bright office was like a cave. Su Yiyen looked at these people who were staring at her baby with shining eyes. She only felt that her baby was like the meat of Tang Sung on the chopping board, surrounded by a group of demons and ghosts who were drooling over it. That scene was not an ordinary eyesore. Fortunately, there weren't many popular artistes in the company at this time. Some of the artistes who could vaguely see the benefits of this hype also wanted to take advantage of this opportunity, to share a piece of the pie, and take advantage of the popularity. Unfortunately, they were stopped before they could go up. The reason was, what's the use of going up? Didn't you see that even if a certain someone posted, those marketing accounts would pretend that they didn't see anything? You're not even as famous as her. You'll only be asking for humiliation if you go up. Stop it. This caused many artistes to resent Yu Yushur. They didn't resent her for being lucky, but for being useless. If she could work harder, and let those marketing accounts who look down on people create a love triangle topic, it would prove that small artists like them also had public opinion value. They might be able to follow her up today and take advantage of the popularity. Sigh after learning the truth. A certain someone who felt that she had been shot even though she was lying down. I've given you guys face, but you can't blame yourself for not being able to take advantage of the popularity. You're blaming me for not being able to take advantage of it. I'm so angry. It was worth mentioning that because of this photo incident, Su Yiyen saw another pillar of the company for the first time since she joined the company, Heavenly King Hong Hui. This Heavenly King, who had been crowned as a king in the music industry 4 or 5 years ago, was only in his early 30s. He looked very upright and had a cold temperament that kept people thousands of miles away. He had only debuted for 7 or 8 years, but the reason why he was able to defeat a bunch of seniors and quickly become a king was because, other than his handsome face that even anti-fans couldn't get mad at, he was extremely exaggerated. Even now, no one could match his wide vocal range. Su Yiyen had seen this person's profile, and thought that he was a cold and aloof person who was not easy to get along with. However, when she really got to know him, she realized that under his cold and aloof appearance, there might not be a cold and aloof soul. He could also be hiding a simple-minded person. When Hong Hui went upstairs, Su Yiyen had just sent off a group of young ladies who had come to see the baby. She pointed at her son's little nose and complained, "Little pervert. You only know how to smile at the young ladies and ignore the young men. When you grow up, You'll definitely be a playboy. Uh-huh. Little Xingxing thought that his mother was playing with him. He kicked his little legs and giggled. It was at this moment that Hong Hui entered Su Yiyan's office. Hearing the child's tender laughter, this cool guy who was known as the dream lover of countless fangirls blinked and stopped in his tracks. When Su Yiyan heard the noise, he looked up and saw someone standing at the door. He asked uncertainly, Hong Hui. Although she had never seen him in person, she had seen his photos. Yes. Do you have something to say? I came up to see the child. Su Yiyan didn't doubt him. She thought that his agent had heard about the things on the internet and asked him to come over to help. The child is here. Luo Weibing and the others just played with him for a while. I saw that he was a little sleepy. If you came later, the baby might have fallen asleep. Chapter 869. Hong Hui nodded and walked to the side of the pram, looking at the soft little guy inside. His originally cold and hard eyes gradually softened. Su Yiyan saw this scene, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Before he could say anything, he heard a burst of cheerful laughter. The two adults in the room were stunned. Su Yiyan looked at his own child for the first time, and confirmed that he was really smiling at Hong Hui. He was deeply surprised. Child, you're smiling. Look carefully, this is a little brother, not a little sister. Little Xingxing turned a deaf ear to him and smiled even more happily. Su Yiyan looked at him, and then at Hong Hui standing on the other side of the stroller. He finally confirmed that his child was really smiling at him. This was strange. Xingxing seems to like you very much. So many people came and went today, but he only smiled at girls and only stared at boys. No matter how much I teased him, he didn't smile. Even when Luo Weibing, who looked the most handsome, just held him, he didn't smile. He just reached out and patted his face. Unexpectedly, he made an exception for Hong Hui. At the thought of this, Su Yiyan's eyes couldn't help but stay on Hong Hui's face for a while. He didn't quite understand what his child saw in this person. If someone with a more sensitive mind heard Su Yiyan's words, they might think that the little guy didn't know people and mistook him for a girl. Hong Hui was not such a person. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, his eyes lit up and he asked carefully, "Can I hold him?" The little guy was held 2 or 3 times today. Su Yiyan didn't want people to touch him again, but the little guy obviously liked Hong Hui very much. Su Yiyan hesitated for a moment and agreed. Yes. But some people's next requests began to become strange. Can I touch him? Yes. Can't you touch him after you hold him? Then can I kiss him? It's best not to. Oh. Then can I take him home? Su Yiyan. No. Oh, Su Yiyan. What are you trying to do by looking so reluctant and pitiful? Those who don't know might think that my child is yours. You shameless strange uncle, stay away from my baby. Just as Su Yiyan raised the alarm and was ready to drive this child thief out of the office, a figure hurriedly ran in from the outside. The moment he saw Hong Hui, he was helpless and angry. You really are here. When he saw the child in Hong Hui's arms, he was so scared that he almost lost his soul. Why are you carrying a child? Put the child down. Put him down. When Su Yiyan heard his words, she became even more nervous. Could it be that this guy really had the tendency to steal children? Just as he was about to snatch the child back, he heard Hong Hui's manager shout in confusion. And the little prince actually didn't cry? This shout startled the baby, who was about to fall asleep with his eyes closed, and he opened his eyes in a daze. Hong Hui's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly and clumsily shook the child, and his sharp eyes flew towards the manager. Su Yiyan was also a little unhappy. She frowned and said, "My baby doesn't like to cry. Do you have a problem with that?" Hong Hui's manager. What's going on? I just came up to stop this black-faced god and save an innocent child from suffering. How did I become the bad guy? This development is not right. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.